Well, you have a problem.
Trump wants all federal workers back in the office.
You got caught up in the torrential winds from that giant COVID sneeze and you moved out to the suburbs.
Or worse, dun dun dun, the exurbs.
And now you have to figure out what to do.
Do you commute 90 minutes each way? Letting your soul be sucked out exit after exit.
Oh, terrible. Or do you move closer to or back into DC? That's what we're going to talk about today, you guys. All right, well, I am Melissa.
I'm Michael.
And you might see other videos about DC, but nobody does them like we do. Unlike many other videos out there, we actually don't use AI. We sit down, we talk about pros and cons and different things that we want to tell you guys. This is all real and genuine from the heart, from our experience, from our time living here, working here, and all of that. So make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss the new videos. So you and I never left the city.
No, we didn't. We stayed.
We stayed and we still live here, but we watched you guys all leave and we enjoyed less congestion on the streets for a while.
It was so nice to be able to walk down the street.
Yeah, and not bump into 87,000 people.
Yes.
But we miss you and we want you back. So we love busy restaurants. We love seeing action on the sidewalks, and you need us now for your quality of life, and DC needs you. So let's talk about moving you back toward or into the city.
This is going to be a huge lifestyle shift for a lot of people. There are a lot of unknowns right now, but if you're even remotely thinking of getting ahead of this, let's talk about what your options are.
All right, well, your first option that you've probably been thinking about is selling your home in the suburbs and moving closer to maybe a closer suburb, but not all the way into the city. So depending on your feelings about the city or the close-in suburbs, this could go one of a few different ways. If you have kids and they are entrenched in their lives, it might be impossible to uproot them. And so we're going to get to that scenario shortly. But for right now, let's say they're close to finishing high school and you're not going to need this large house in the suburb for many more years. This might be the time for you to put a plan into place. And so only you can decide what's right for your family, but know that you've got some options and we want to definitely outline all of that and go through it. So if moving closer to the city to ease up the commute is what you're thinking, it's mostly good news here, you guys. It's likely that since you moved, some key things have improved. The Silver Line extension into Northern Virginia opened up a lot of possibilities. Most stops along the Silver Line are also in the throes of like serious redevelopment. They're being recreated into these huge live, work, and play communities. So something like this could actually check like several boxes for you. You could downsize from that large home in the suburbs or the exurbs. You could stay in suburban life. You can improve your commute to work, and you can buy into a really cool urban community where you can walk to like most of the conveniences and everything in this little town that they've built around.
So if you move to Maryland, the Purple Line Metro extension is fully under construction. This will navigate people between Bethesda and New Carrollton, but it is creating flexibility for commuting.
For sure. And then as far as selling your current home and buying a new one, we have to have a specific conversation about that with you. So there isn't a brush that we can use to like broadly paint everything to tell you what the market is like for your current home and what the prospects are like where you want to move. All of this is like really still hyper local in a way. The good news for you guys is Michael has sold as far west as Berryville and Front Royal and as far south as Dumfries and all along the way to all of these places. So you know these areas very well.
Yes, I do.
Grew up in Northern Virginia and moved all around.
Yes.
Probably lived in 15 different places in Northern Virginia. So definitely reach out to us so we can chat specifics about your situation. Yeah. I've had several of these conversations with clients recently. I know that you have too. People are right now, they're in these fact-finding missions over the past couple weeks, and we expect that to continue. We have been working in the suburbs for the past decade already, or more, and we can navigate you through the sale and the purchase closer to DC, because that was sort of where at least me originally cut my teeth in real estate was inside the city. And those early years, 15, 18 years ago, I was doing all my business in the city. And then with COVID, it switched. You were already working in Northern Virginia. And so, yeah, we've got you covered there.
Yes. Let's talk about selling your home in the suburbs and moving into DC. There were a lot of empty nesters who downsized in the pre-pandemic years and moved into DC. This had become commonplace in 2014 to about 2020.
Yeah, and there was definitely a trend in that time frame when the suburban homes would be listed and we would have to downplay just how big the house was. If it was 7 bedrooms, like we were changing the marketing to call it 5 bedrooms with a workout room and a home office or a den or something like that, because you just didn't want people to know how big this house truly was out in Potomac. Or, Leesburg or wherever these big houses were. Yeah. So once the pandemic hit, though, and businesses started to close, people didn't want to be within 6 feet of each other. City wasn't as exciting anymore, and the trend beckoning the suburbanites to the city came to a halt. Then we had the peak years of crime wave.
Yeah, this was 2022 and 2023, and we started really feeling the fallout of the crime wave in 2024. So we ended up seeing the slowest real estate market for DC proper in many years.
Yeah, 2024 was the slowest.
Yeah, but now that we have the numbers for 2024, something interesting to take of note. Even though it wasn't a great year, the prices what sold in 2024 was still up year over year.
Oh yeah, totally. And back when DC was all the rage, people would buy properties that, weren't perfect by any means with the intention to upgrade them to their taste level and all of that. But then the trend shifted and only the most updated and renovated homes were selling, whether they be condo or house, no matter what it was.
Yeah.
So there have been some great opportunities to pick up a home in DC that maybe needs a new kitchen or needs new bathrooms and some updating. And you could get that for a lot less than really what the true market value was. I mean, we had listings this year that kind of sat and should have sold by all, measures, but just didn't.
Yeah. Trend alert.
Yay!
With the dismal real estate years in the rearview mirror, activity is actually already up, at least within our company.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, our company is kicking butt right now.
Yeah. The number of homes listed is up over last year, hopefully bringing a reprieve to the inventory issue. And in January alone, the closings were up 8 times over January 2024 in our company.
That was a wild metric.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, but that's, of course, that's an indicator of December contracts. But all signs point to there being early birds out there who are grabbing up those worms.
Yes, we're already starting to see competition happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ugh, competition again.
Yeah.
All right. So what about if that scenario doesn't work for you? And let's say you can't sell now, but the commute is going to be intolerable for you. Yeah. So this could be my reality. You've got kids who are entrenched in schools and activities and you can't uproot them at this point in their life. What do? You should consider buying a pied-à-terre. This is such a great alternative to spending hours a day in the car commuting. The smallest of condos in DC are not selling as rapidly as the larger houses. People want space, and that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
But if it's a second home, that might not matter as much. Nobody wants to live in a shoebox as their primary residence anymore, which is kind of what we all did when we moved to the city and couldn't afford it. Yeah. But what that means is that you could get a great deal on a studio or a 1-bedroom condo. Now, hear us out. This decision will have basically all positive outcomes. Yeah. First, you can likely furnish it with items already in your home. Michael can probably help you. He has a lot of items in his home. He's always swapping things out. Second, you could use the condo on the weekend. And we know people who do this too. And they just love coming into the city and being a tourist in their own, hometown or adopted adjacent hometown.
Yeah, we just had we had clients buy a 2-bedroom condo as their pied-à-terre for the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Third, if you find that you no longer need it, it becomes a great investment to turn into a rental. And fourth, because this is where my brain is currently working, in a decade or so, if you don't want them kiddos coming back home or you want to downsize or you want to move to Florida, this could become their first home as they start their career post-college. And then they're in the city. Yeah.
There are so many wins to the pied-à-terre scenario that I'm sure people will consider that as an option too. I mean, I would.
Yeah, for sure. And we've watched these properties sit on the market. We've even, like we said, helped some of our clients pick some of them up for great prices in the past couple of years. They make great investments because there is just always a captive audience of people coming to DC and the rents always go up.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah. Yeah, we just talked to a buyer the other day that was shocked by the rental prices. They had moved back from Europe, and they couldn't believe how high the rental prices were in DC at this point.
Yeah. All right. So there's some other things to consider that may factor into your decision here about what to do next. So will you get any Metro subsidies? If so, finding a location that's easily accessible to Metro is probably going to be pretty important.
Yeah, I mean, and also, can you negotiate any days at home?
Right.
Work from home. Just because it's, being demanded for everyone to come back 5 days a week doesn't mean it will happen. If you had 1 to 2 work from home days, it could change your outlook on location.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think there's still so much unknown that people are panicking and they're not operating with, here's the real directive.
Yeah.
The other thing is we have parking at your office. If you plan to drive, we won't have to focus so much on metro proximity where your house is, but there might be areas that, you should consider living that are better suited to commuting by car.
Yeah, and the really big question is can you downsize your living space?
Yep.
Yeah, if you have a lot of heirlooms and pieces you have inherited that you can't part with, it may be difficult to downsize.
Right, and then we have to come up with some other options.
Yes.
Will you need the home office anymore? Everybody wants the home office, but don't you just usually sit on the couch like I do?
Yes. Yeah. And also, if you're in the office 5 days a week, you no longer need a home office.
Right, because all your stuff will at least be at the office. You don't need a place to store things.
Yeah.
Another one is, how long have you had your current home? Does it make sense to sell it, or should you hold on to it? And if you don't have a lot of equity, like maybe you just moved a few years ago and you really haven't built up a lot of equity, does the outlook indicate that it's going to improve, or will the growth in value remain flat so that it doesn't really matter if you sell now or you sell in a few years? Kind of something else to think about.
Yeah. Do you want to sell your current home or rent it out? If your current home is one of your largest investments, timing this properly is absolutely critical.
Right.
Yeah, you no longer have to test the market by going on the market, though. Our brokerage actually has about over 400 million in homes in our private exclusive network. This has been very successful for our clients to test the market without starting the days on market countdown.
Yeah, you can get that initial read from a huge audience of people. We have like 550 agents in the DC area.
Yes.
So this is definitely a lot to digest, and it is a rapidly changing pain point because, we know you were told that your job would never return to the office, but don't panic. It is better to just get ahead of this and create a plan of action than to sit and wait until the last minute. So the people who wait until the last minute are always the ones who end up paying
The most
every single time.
I wish they would listen to us.
I know, I do too. And so while more homes are finally starting to hit the market, we continue to be in a historically low inventory situation. There's buyers out there looking, like even in the farther out suburbs still and the exurbs. So you just want to get ahead of the curve and get ready to list your home before everybody else does.
Yeah.
As more people sort of face what the new work reality is, they will list their homes further out, and there may be an influx of inventory in the future, which is like how things were pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
That's going to mean increased competition, and this could begin to affect your pricing negatively.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, downsizing may be an adjustment, but the perks of being closer to work will improve your quality of life. I'm starting to talk about everybody about it. Everybody is lamenting that the traffic is back to pre-pandemic levels and how much it sucks to commute again. I mean, we're out in the middle of traffic because we're, traveling a lot of times headed to property, and we're sitting in it, and it's amazing how much it's back.
Oh, yeah. No, when I go pick my daughter up at school, I go over 495 in Bethesda, and I look down every day, 305, bumper to bumper. I'm like, how is it this backed up already?
Yeah, it really does.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so more time at home and less time spent on the train or in the car means more time for family, friends, hobbies, and relaxation. Quality of life is a reality that you just can't ignore.
Yeah. So please don't wait until everyone is trying to do this at the same time. What did you liken that to earlier, Michael? You said it's like
everybody trying to run through the door at once.
That's exactly what it is. And then everyone's going to be competing for scarce inventory in and around the Beltway. Let's connect. Let's discuss your options so that you can create a plan of action. All right. Our contact info is coming next.